Welcome to the Starting Over videocast slash podcast because wins don't last forever. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos. And what we're going to do today is we're going to look at a couple of things. But before we get into that, you're probably wondering where I've been, what's going on, why haven't there been videocast or podcast? Well, first off, Blip TV was hosting the podcast, and then they decided they weren't going to host MP3 files anymore. So I've been scouring around trying to find a host for the show, trying to see what I can do. And as they say, bandwidth doesn't grow on trees. So it's been sort of difficult. So for right now, we're going to shift back to a videocast file format. I know a whole lot of people really didn't like it just seeing me here talk. But I'm going to try throwing some pictures up there, in between different segments, just so to try to keep it a little bit more interesting. But if you have one of those video phones, this isn't really an inconvenience at all. You can just download the show and listen to it, or you could just open up another screen and look at that while you're listening to me talk. Like I said, I know it's a little inconvenient for those that were downloading the podcast and listening to it on the road, but I bet there's some program out there that allow you to strip audio. So let's go ahead and get into the show, shall we? Well, since the last time that I made a show, there's been a couple of things that have been on my mind. The first thing is water terrain, and the second thing is poison. When we look at water terrain in the game of HeroClix, we really must say that it's one of the most underused and really underthought out terrain mechanics in the game. Now, the main reason I say that is this. When we look at water terrain, what movement symbol comes into our mind? Flight. Let's be honest, it's not really dolphin symbol, it's flight. We want to fly over it to ignore it. Then we think dolphin. Why is that? Because dolphin symbol really doesn't have that much of an advantage as flight does. Not only that, you're not guaranteed to have water terrain on a map, thus making the dolphin symbol really a little inept. And so as I was talking with a friend of mine, he was just pointing out you have all these figures that are like Atlantis-based keyword, or do this in water terrain and do that in water terrain. And you end up asking yourself, when you look at a bunch of maps, where's the water terrain? In the same way of, the old lady saying, where's the beef? Where's the water? If this is going to be a serious mechanic that we consider, then we really need to see it placed well on maps. Now, some might say, well, on the other side of the Superman map, there's water. Well, sort of. It's not in the way. It doesn't obstruct. It has no way of making it so that you have to deal with it. And so that's just the reality that we're dealing with water terrain. And so some things that I thought about was, automatically making it so that a figure in water terrain can sort of get like a shape change or a super sense roll on a dice roll of 6. That would give them a really, added bonus to having, dolphin symbol. If that they cannot be seen from opposing figures for any game effect up to, they have to be within 7 squares. So that makes it so that if you're going to outwit a dolphin based figure while they're in water, it's sort of saying they're submerged or they're gurgling in a pool of water or a bucket, and pretty much it allows it so that they have a distinct advantage that's separate from flyers, that's separate from ground pounders, grounders. So that's just what I was thinking about water terrain. I really think that there needs to be some advantage for packing dolphin movement symbol. All right, let's move on to poison. Now, poison really has been on the decline, let's be honest, since the removal of feats. Poison beforehand, in the grand wild wild west of Nika taking over and everyone has full access to feats, Poison was great. Poison was so viable. But then when we see the loss of armor piercing, we start to realize how difficult it is to actually use poison in an effective way and provide pressure on our opponent. Now let me rephrase that so it makes a little bit more sense. Okay, when we're using it in an effective way, that means that every turn we can get this off if it applies. Okay, and then when we're putting pressure on our opponent, we want our opponent to think about poison. We want our opponent to think, man, I have to move because of his poison. Okay, so when we consider all these things together, what was armor piercing doing? Armor piercing was making our opponent think about it, and not only that, our opponent knew that if they didn't move their figure, they were guaranteed to take that damage. And so right now we might need an addendum to poison. I know a lot of people are saying, well, I can just go ahead and outwit their defense at the beginning of their turn. But what happens when you deal with figures that can't be outwitted, or they're next to a figure that allows for some sort of fortitude light type power defense? What happens when you're dealing with a power cosmic figure and you just don't have Dark Anger on your team, or if you did, he's dead? These are all the problems that I've been dealing with trying to figure out a sort of a Neo-Lamp team. What's the next generation of Lockjaw, Armor Piercing, Mastermind, Poison? And I'm starting to realize that it might involve Mastermind and might involve Poison. New Lockjaw is awesome for Avengers, but that without that armor piercing element, it sort of all falls apart. And so one thing I feel that Poison should have a chance to do is, like roll a d6. On a 6, it's unavoidable damage. I think that would make Poison always viable, always worth the points on the dial. That way, a person always has to say, man, he may get that poison roll. Now note, I'm not saying a 5 or 6 or a 4, 5 or 6, because I feel that that's a little bit excessive. Okay, and it still makes armor piercing viable for unlimited games where you're going golden age. But when we're looking at, does poison actually benefit the game now? And the answer is really no. Superman and Hulk set just shoved tons and tons of damage reduction down our throat, and you know what that means. Poison is pretty much out of the picture, which is sad considering that Red Hulk and a couple other figures have poison. So something to think about, and hopefully WizKids / Nika will move forward and create something a little bit more productive with poison, or errated it next year, or make it so that not every figure that's actually viable has damage reduction. But I digress. Okay, I know a lot of people have seen the preview for the Infinity Gauntlet and preview for Galactic Guardians, and I must say that it's amazing. Amazing just for the character selection that we've seen so far. Now, we haven't seen that many dials, and that's fine. But mainly when we're looking at the first introduction into this new set being Thanos, yeah, he pretty much is a game changer. And for those who are really big into don't spoil my cheese, you could go ahead and just skip forward a little bit. But most people that listen to or watch this sort of podcast, video cast, they don't mind a little spoilage, and they don't mind why is Thanos going to change the meta. So let's go on and look at Thanos. Let's look at the same logic that we had with 300-point Superman. Why isn't 300-point Superman going to work as an effective team? Now, he can be a monster with a high point game, but why as an effective unit he does not work as a one-man team? Well, mainly out-actioning. Okay, same with Thanos. Same with Thanos. The difference between Thanos and Superman is mobility of move and attack. Not mobility of getting where you need to be, but mobility of move and attack. And then Thanos has the ability not to be outwitted, which gives him a great advantage. Okay, so let's look at Thanos real quick. Now, the Mad Titan comes in starting in his 300-point version with a 13 attack, which some people say is ridiculous, but if you look at Infinity Challenge, it's not really that ridiculous. If history is some sort of a guiding point. Not only that, he's starting with a 19 defense, 5 damage. Psychic Blast is icing on the cake. Did he need it? Yes, he did. A lot of people might say no, but yes, he did. He needed that. Definitely considering that he's not starting with Outwit like some other versions. The next thing that we see is that the 12 attack on click 2, 18 defense, imperv, and 5 damage with Outwit. They pretty much made his sweet click the next click. And a lot of people might not like that, but it is necessary. The other thing that really does suck is that you can't push onto that 18 defense imperv click. You sort of have to find another way of getting there, and in this modern era it's going to be tough. Some people say Rogue. People have been thinking about using Rogue as a means of activating figures. While I don't mind that, I think that's very, very inefficient use of points. You can find better ways of activating figures. But all seriousness, well, all joking aside, the 300-point Thanos is fun, but he's not effective. He has no ability to take on a 300-point team ever. Now, in a higher point game, 300 Thanos, oh gosh, if you're looking at a 1,000-point game, play him. Play him and a whole bunch of little people that can attack a bunch of sub 100 figures, 100-point figures, and you're going to just watch people cry. Definitely, if you give him some support, you're gonna watch people cry. The other thing that we are looking at with Thanos is that 150-point version. That 150-point version is hitting on a lot of key notes that need to be hit in the meta. The first off is he's a scientist, and so he fills the role that Superman was with Professor X. Not only that, he has 4 damage. So he's still in that high damage output. He has Psychic Blast. Okay? Now on his click 2, he sort of still deals with the same problem that he had with his 300-point versions. That's Outwit is on click 2. Yes, also Thanos does not have Impervious like the 150-point Superman on his first 150-point click. But the advantage is this. First off, when we're looking at having Thanos out on the field, mainly with Professor X, and this is the main thing I'm sort of pushing right now, is you can position Thanos 9 squares away. Professor X outwits hypersonic speed. Superman can't go to reach Professor X, and Professor X can't outwit Thanos, and Superman cannot outwit Thanos. Okay? Not only that, when we're looking at a Superman Professor X team, guess who your main hitter is in your main mobility? Superman. What does that force the Superman player to do? Yeah, have to come and either get in range or most likely base Thanos because he doesn't want to get hit with Psychic Blast. That's a pretty interesting setup. But even then, we know with Professor X, guess what? There's another Psychic Blast. So we are seeing with Thanos a double Psychic Blast sort of combo. And if you sort of listen to some of my previous rants, definitely about Superman, what is the biggest, most powerfulest power that's out there right now? it's Psychic Blast. Now, yes, you're going to say Outwit or Perplex or Probability Control, because all those things always, rule the demiverse of what is HeroClix. But let's be honest. What have most of the power pieces in the last few sets have? Damage reduction. Whether it is your Dark Side, yeah, I know he starts with Mastermind, but he has a lot of damage reduction. Whether it's your Supermans, or even if you're looking at Quasar from from Captain America, and I could go on and on and on with the Bruisers from over the last year, and most of the main meta pieces, they have damage reduction. Even Eradicator. I will admit I wasn't mainly on the Eradicator bus at the beginning, but seeing things now, I'm right there in the front. Psychic Blast is a major power to be reckoned with, and that's why I think it's Gold K that allows you to get rid of people's ability to use penetrating damage. It's going to become so essential, because being able to use Gold K in a cheap figure can shut down a Thanos, can shut down a Professor X. Well, let me rephrase that. It'll provide a threat to a Professor X, because that Gold K carrier still has to make it downfield. For those people that are familiar with chess, you get your pawns to the other end of the field, you can get a battlefield promotion, they become something else, but the big trouble is getting a pawn down to the other end of the field. It's really tough. Same thing with Gold K. You can get a figure down to around where Professor X is at, but once you do, what does that mean? What stops that figure from being smoked that next turn? So just consider that. As we sort of go back and looking at Thanos, and I know it's a little obsession, but he has running shot on click 3, and if we really look at it, for most figures now, they're probably going to blast him for 4. He's going to knock off 2 of that damage, and then he's going to be on that running shot click, which gives him advantage so that he can get around the field. The nice thing is, with his 9 range, it puts him in that lovely scope outside of a lot of figures range now. With the average range being 8, he always can sort of be out of reach if you play him right. Being able to phase into position so that Professor X can outwit it is just beautiful, and it allows a sort of field placement that Superman didn't have. Now, if I was to say, here, let's compare Superman with Thanos, and if we were able to say at 150 points, and let's be even more fair, let's compare the one from I think it's the Fast Forces as well, and I think that we're going to come to an interesting realization here. Both are 150 points. Both Supermans are 6 clicks deep at 150 points, and so is Thanos. So we know we're getting 6 clicks for 150 points, which can be a big risk, all things considered, mainly from the standpoint that it's not hard to go and knock a figure down 6 clicks. So that's the risk that we're running. When we're looking at starting attack values, we're both starting, all 3 figures starting with 11 attack. They're all doing 4 damage, which is wonderful. But we also are starting to note with all of them, the damage, just goes down and down. With Superman from the standard set, he goes down to a 2. The Fast Forces, he stays consistent at a 3, which is sort of nice. Thanos stays consistent at a 3. Okay, when we're looking at defensive values on average, the Fast Forces Superman is coming out on average higher. With 18 to 17, the lowest dip is a 16, and then we're back to 17, 18, and ending on a 19. Whereas Common Superman is just, his numbers just go down. 17, 16, slight spike with hypersonic speed with a 17 toughness, but it goes down to ending at a 15 regen. Thanos, which is interesting, he just goes down, but he doesn't hit that 15 dip. Why is that 15 dip important? In the game now, 15 defense is where everything tanks. It's your bottom of the barrel. Back in the day, you could see a 12. You could see, maybe a 11 if someone is really on like their last click, maybe. Okay, and there's not too many figures I can think of like that, and if there are, they're most likely Pogs. Most of them are most likely Pogs. Anyway, but you could expect to see a 14 here, a 13 there, and that was, this guy is half dead. Now 15 is that bottom of the barrel average. We're really not seeing whiz kids drop a figure below that. And so this means, yes, a whole lot of smaller figures can get a hit. Your little 9 and 8 attack figures with low damage can get hit off. Thanos doesn't quite get there. The Mad Titan stays slightly above desperate, is the best way of putting it. Okay. When we look at something else that's quite interesting, in Dial, Fast Force's Superman for his last 3 clicks is better than his first 3 clicks, if you sort of average it out. Yeah. And then when you're looking at Common Superman, once you get to his last 3 clicks, you're running for a medic. You're running towards something to get you back up to your prime click. He can't really survive. If you do land on regen, oh man, you've lucked out. You've really lucked out. But when we look at Thanos, now please bear with me in this comparison. Thanos has 2 clicks of regen versus Superman's 1 click of regen. And when we look at how this plays out in the long term, what this means is that, let's say, bam, Thanos gets hit with a really strong attack for 4 damage. He's right there on his regen click, and he can't be attacked. Let's say, hypothetically, he can't be attacked. He can get back to the top of his dial. Superman can never get back to the top of his dial. Now note, there is a disadvantage because, yes, for every click of regen that you have as well, that click can be abused and you could take damage and be punished for that. That is more than fair. But what is also interesting is you have 2 options with Thanos on his regen clicks. The first is to phase away. Just phase somewhere that you can just be safe at. Okay, and that's a valid option many times, definitely if you have a bunch of walls. The second option is Quake. If you just need to get them off, remember, you have Power Cosmic, you can roll for regen next turn. You just need to get them away from you so that you can get somebody for support to come up and heal you, so that you have viable options. Okay, so those 2 things really sort of set Thanos apart. Is he a threat? Yes. Can be handled? Yes. Again, Psyblast is worth his weight in gold kryptonite right now. So just think about that. Alright, now let's go on to the main event, if you want to call it that. And we're just going to look at really my picks for Hulk and why they are my picks for the Hulk set. And some might say, you're not going through the whole set. No. Learned my lesson last time with when I did a 2-hour show, and I had to break it up. So let's go ahead and just do a brief rundown of Hulk. And I'm going to explain to you why I picked each figure and why that figure is on my list. Okay. First off is the common Hulk. I sort of wish that it got the Superman treatment that the previous sets got. Where, well, with Superman, what he got, getting the two versions, the full 300 point, Hulk smash, and the 150 point Hulk is an Avenger now, type of things. I really wish that he got that. Unfortunately, he didn't, and I know a whole lot of people was like, we're hoping for Defenders Hulk, and I sort of am too. I'm hoping that we get like a team player Hulk, something that works better in a cohesive unit, more so than what we have here. Anyway, I digress. Why did I pick this Hulk? AE. I am probably one of the few thinkers in the game that thinks AE is viable. Not just viable in a sense that, oh look, I can do this at a joking level when I'm having fun with friends, but I think that AE is very viable in a highly competitive area. Even at Gen Con, I think AE is viable. And a lot of people are just taking that pause of like, you're high, you're crazy, what's up with you? He's mad, I tell you, mad. But in all honesty, let's look at this Hulk. We're going off of Bruce Banner, the number 2 unit in the set. And that Bruce Banner has 3 clicks to transform into AE. And he's 55 points. And he can turn into number 43 Hulk and, of course, Galactic Guardians Defender Hulk. But we're not going to even look at those two yet. Or let me rephrase that. We can't even look at the Galactic Guardians Defender Hulk yet. But let's look at Bruce Banner right here with his click. And then we're going to see why the Hulk is viable as an AE. Okay. 5 clicks deep. 5 clicks deep. Most AEs aren't that deep. He starts with toughness. And most people aren't going to waste an outwit to kill him. Most people aren't going to waste an outwit to kill him. What does that mean? That means, my good friends, is that Bruce Banner has a high chance of turning into the Hulk after being hit. Second thing, he has 3 clicks in which he can turn into the alter ego. 3 clicks. Where most have 2. Now we're starting to see WizKids being a little bit nicer on the AEs, and they're giving us a little bit more time so that we could turn into AEs. Okay. Other thing that's really nice about Bruce Banner is he starts with outwit, so he's not completely worthless, and he's not completely just sucking up points on your team doing nothing. Another thing I like is bomb science. Bruce Banner can use energy explosion. Bruce Banner and a Jameson friendly character deal 1 additional damage to the target of their attacks while using energy explosion, if not already modified by this attack. Tomo Ray. And I'm just saying that honestly, and that's where most people are going. But when we're looking in the future, we're most likely going to see more energy explosion pop out. Wildfire. I mean, come on. If there's no reason, not to play, if there's any reason to play Wildfire from Superman set, this is it right here. Bruce Banner. Okay, you get a scientist, you eventually get the Hulk. If we look at that number 1 Hulk, that common Hulk, what does he start with? He starts with Charge. He gets Quake. The trait automatically gives him super senses, and puny humans stand no chance on click 2 and 3, which pretty much sort of gives him a little bit defense against sub 75 point figures. Okay, so we have a good advantage rolling with this Hulk, and not only that. What's interesting is that if you have cheap outwitters, and cheap outwitters don't like this Hulk, because let's just go ahead and read the whole puny human. When a character 75 points or less will deal damage to Hulk with an attack or targets Hulk with outwit. Okay, just think about how many sub 75 point outwitters we have, and how often they're being used in high-level games. On a roll of 4 through 6, Hulk ignores damage dealt by that attack, or Hulk ignores that use of outwit. Really think about that. he ignores the outwit and he ignores that damage if he makes the roll. You know, he doesn't avoid it, it doesn't get reduced. Bam, he just ignores it. So what that means is that when you get on your third click of regen, if you land on it, it does give you the ability to stop someone from outwitting your regen. The beautiful thing that I feel that comes out of this Hulk is you have Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner is viable. You have Hulk. Hulk is an in-game harasser figure, tries to clean some things up. He's not a one-man team. He doesn't try to save the day. All he does is say, hey, let me try to bring you back to a place you were in mid-game, in late game. That is a big advantage. Big advantage. Okay? So, moving on, now that I've talked about Bruce Banner and the Hulk, let's move to number 3, AIM Agent. AIM Agent comes to my mind mainly for all that it does for how little points it costs. First, you get the HydraTA, which is equivalent of PD. Next, you get Perplex. So what have you done? You have a Hydra agent next to you. Your guys, other figures taking a shot. You have automatically lowered their defense for that figure that's being targeted. The next thing that you're doing is that you have Perplex, so you can decide you can do range, you can do damage, you can do attack. You have a lot of flexibility. Okay. The next thing is their trait, the minion trait. Pretty much it just says when a friendly character with the AIM keyword and a higher point value is within 8 squares, AIM Agent can use energy explosion. You're really not using that much unless you really are determined to use an AIM team. So as a common meta piece, we are getting Perplex plus PD ability or Hydra ability, sub 40 points. Pretty much this is a better version of Gotham City PD. A way better version of Gotham City PD. But he will be topped. And we'll get to that a little bit later. By who, you might ask? Well, you got to tune in and see. Next up is John Jameson. And John Jameson holds a sweet spot in the meta right now because everybody thinks A, he's crap. B, he turns into Man-Wolf, which no one likes. Okay? And the last thing that comes to my mind is that you have to activate him. All these things makes John Jameson one of the most overlooked figures in the set. But it wasn't until I did a little reading did someone bring up the interesting point. John Jameson carries your gold K around. He is the man with the football in the Heisman Trophy sort of pose, you know, just waiting to, you know, duck to the side, you know, the fireballs and mental energy that's going in the battlefield. You know, he is not your quarterback, but gosh darn it, he is your wide receiver. Okay. And so pushing him to get to a second click, to carry around Red K, to neuter so much Psychic Blast that's in this game and so much exploited weakness that's in this game is necessary. And for him to lose his toughness doesn't really hurt him. Oh wow, they hit him for 3. Now he turns into Man-Wolf. Okay, ooh, that's you know, you get some extra clicks out of him. And yeah, he'll drop the K, you know, he'll drop the gold K. But still, I mean, really think about it. Being able to have a figure that's pretty much whole goal is just to run around with a football and to neuter without use of outwit, you know, other figures. That's all it does. That's all he does is just neuter other figures. And even if you go look at his Man-Wolf AE, yeah, he gets some Blaze Claws, Fangs, Super Senses. You know, it's okay. It's not even wonderful. It's not something that you would really think, I really want to AE into this. you know. But I really think that just as a figure for what he does, John Jameson is best if you're going to be running Gold K on your team. Even Red K, maybe. My only thing with running him with Red K is you can find a lot better, cheaper figures if you're going to manipulate Red K. Now, if you're looking at your shifting battlefield and how you want to try to get your Red K around to, as you know, the flow of battle progresses, he's still sort of viable. But Red K would also shut him down in his chance to move. So that's like a catch-22 with Red K and him. So that's it. Let's move on. Next up is the leader. And the leader, and you're probably wondering which leader. Number 14 leader. The issue with the leader that comes to my mind is first off, why do we select a leader? Superman set has so much Superman TA out there. Why are we considering this figure? You know, he has stealth. He has no team abilities. Okay, well, let's first start off why. He starts with TK. And in this set, definitely in sealed, that's an advantage. The next thing is really comes to my mind is I can't stop your brute strength, but my mind is far superior. His damage ability. Leader can use Outwit. Once per turn, if he uses it to counter a power ability that isn't a defense power, he can immediately use it again to counter another power or an ability that isn't a defense power. Have you ever had those times where your opponent had 2 Outwits and you pretty much knew that your Outwit wasn't going to be used? Imagine if you had the leader. I outwit your Outwit, and I outwit his Outwit. Or you could say is I outwit ranged combat expert, and I outwit your running shot. Or you could say I outwit your psychic blast, and I outwit your probability control. This leader allows you to maintain that defensive position that you need to have. This leader allows you to really say, I have a commander on the field. My commander on the field is the leader, and he's leading my team to victory. Now, the human regrowth chamber, I sort of look at that as like icing on the cake. And if you're going to play him, this leader, it's really good to play him with a bunch of humanoids. And the humanoids really aren't that playable without him. The other problem that I see is, yes, his defenses are low. But being able to have the regrowth of the humanoids allows you to keep shifting in humanoids to keep him on his mastermind clicks. And if you're playing with his special ability right, you just keep outwitting outwitters. You see where I'm going? You just keep outwitting outwit unless they're in stealth. And you'll just have to find a way of dealing with that. But with the leader, technically, you're going to have 2 outwits, 1 figure. Now, even if, let's say we cut the points in half, and we say, well, for less than 50 points, I can get these, and these outwitters. And it's true. And you can stack multiple outwitters on your team for less than 100 points. And they can also attack. But can they also TK? Can they also do Psychic Blast? Can they also phase? And the answer is no. Do they have range greater than 6? Most likely not. So when we look at the leader really is a good deal if you see in your situation, hey, I need 2 outwits and I need some TK. That's why you want to consider the leader. Okay. Moving on, the next figure that we're going to look at is Lara, however you say her name, number 16. Why pick her? 88 points of 8 clicks, 11 points a click. for that wonderful cornucopia of powers of charge, 11 attack, and invulnerability, with a wonderful special power that says if Lara has no action tokens, when she makes an attack, she can use probability control during that attack. Being able to prob your own attacks, having that for 4 clicks, being able to charge for 3 clicks, having close combat expert for 2 clicks, and if you land on it, late dial, perplex, 8 clicks total, 88 points. Think about this now. This figure has more clicks than Galactic Guardians Thanos at 150 points, has more clicks than Superman at 150 points from both the Fast Forces and the common set. How much damage would have to be pumped in to take her out by one of these big figures for how little points she costs? So that's why I picked her, and I think that's a figure that, you know, everyone should consider playing at least once during this cycle, and just see how she goes. Next up is AIM Renegade. AIM Renegade is our repaint. is a big repaint. But the AIM Renegade is nice because for 34 points, we are getting enhancement in HydraTA. Okay. Really, let's hear that again. We are getting enhancement and HydraTA. So when we look at it closely, we also get, and I forgot to say it, we also get barrier. That's a lot of support. We have 3 support abilities and 1 figure, and then we have AIM must be purified, and it's AIM Renegade modify his attack value, his attack and damage values by +1 when attacking a character that possesses a keyword or a team ability that AIM Renegade also possesses. It's sort of nice. He can shoot scientists and other AIM people. But really, sort of to hit this home, let's really look at comparison. We get Gotham City PD for 27 points, 6 range, enhancement, 27 points. Okay, we are getting these wonderful AIM guys for a little bit more, but they're doing a lot more. They're not attacking really. They're just sitting there making everybody else better. I mean, they're just making everybody else better. They're the Phil Jackson of hero clicks, okay? They make your figure going from a okay draftee into Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. You know, that's what these figures are. These AIM guys are doing. You have a figure, you're like, man, I need him protected all the time. I need her protected all the time. I need this area blocked off. AIM Renegade isn't doing anything. Barrier. Just sitting there giving enhancement. Oh, you're going to try to shoot us at the end of the turn? Barrier. This is probably some of the cheapest, most effective barrier that you are going to get. So buy them up and get them. Have 3, 4 even. You know, really play this piece. The next figure I have is AIM Marine. And you might say, why AIM Marine? And I have AIM Marine for the AE. And it's a short dial. You're going to blast through it right to his AE really quickly. He has HydraTA, and he can turn into the limited edition 1 per brick AIM Hulk, or AIM Marine Hulk, or whatever it is. And that's the main reason I like the AE of what that Hulk is. And so if you go and look, just scroll down, and scroll down. You'll find him at number 100 on your list. And It's charge, super strength, 16 defense and vulnerability, close combat expert. You might say, what's so magical about that? Why am I paying all those points for a Marine at 50 points to get that? Well, it's simple. First off, we're paying really cheap for an AE. We're paying 50 points. Not only that, you have all that running shot at the beginning, and then again, like we say, we have that Hydra TA. That is very useful in placement. For anybody that played Hammer Agents, how many times do you sort of wish they had Hydra TA instead of Shield? Even now, I sort of wish that the Shield errata came during Web of Spider-Man. But anyway, I digress. We're getting a lot for how low points they are, and they're not dependent on a leader figure to get them through. And because they're not dependent on that leader figure, they can stand alone. They're sort of like Green Berets, or Navy SEALs. You could just send one in to go and do what they're supposed to do. But if the mission evolves and it needs a little bit more help, then bam, these guys can do it for you. Okay. Being able to have charge, being able to have super strength, being able to move around the field, that close combat expert, once you get in there with that charge, it's nice. You're looking at high damage output and consistent damage with a Marine. Second click with exploit weakness is going to make sure that 2 damage goes through, but that close combat expert on those other 2 clicks are really just making it so that he can do 4 damage. And let's think about this. AE in game, bringing you to the mid game. How does this figure bring me to the mid game? Well, people's damage, damage values are lower. People's attack values are lower, and people's damage output is almost pathetic. So just consider that a Marine. And I know that it's going to be a push for a lot of people to even look at it, let alone play it, but just think about it. The next figure that I really want us to look at is I can't believe I almost about to overlook it, Black Tarantula. Black Tarantula is again that sweet spot, that 88 points, the 7 clicks. Running shot, 6 range. I know the 6 range isn't that awesome, but it sure does beat 4 that a whole lot of other figures have. Invulnerability, 3 damage. Alternating clicks of support. You have a click in which you have 11 attack in support. I know you say, oh, it's mid dial and he's on click 4, but let's be honest. Someone hits you really, really hard, you're going to land on that click. Also, his special power, you can give him a double power action, give him a close combat action as a free action, and then he may use Blaze Claw's Fangs after the action resolves. He may automatically break away and move up to 2 squares, and then make a ranged combat attack. Okay? He can use blades, auto breakaway, like a lunge sort of situation, and then hit you again with a ranged attack. Yes, he's stuck. He's stuck, mind you. But most optimally, on that click, he does 9 clicks. 9 clicks, 88 points. On average, how much damage is he going to really do on that when that power comes up? Probably between 4 and 5. So I want you to think about that. I really want you to think about Black Tarantula. Next is White Tiger. White Tiger is a nice Mastermind fodder piece. Definitely play this figure if you're going to be using Mastermind. Whole goal is early game, she is stealth, PD, perplex. Okay? Stealth, PD, perplex, Mastermind fodder, boom. Once that big hit comes in from Mastermind fodder, you're trying to make sure she takes about 3 damage. I know, say 3 damage is going to put her past her best click, yes, but you're not going to activate her to her best click, okay? You're really not. Go in and just send her in there to die. Send her in there to die, charge, push her, do everything possible just to grind out as many clicks as damage that you can with her, okay? Once that's done, resurrect her, put her, she's now on that wonderful click 3 with Blaze Claw's Fangs right next to your opponent. Alright? Now, here's the kicker. Yes, she's going to give 1 click of damage to, you know, one of your figures as long as she's on the field. Now, what really complements her with this ability? Wolverine. Wolverine heals 1 click every turn. Well, every one of your turns. He just doesn't click, but he doesn't take damage. So Wolverine allows you to use her quite effectively and literally get 10 clicks. 10 clicks out of this 158-point figure. So get creative with her, okay? Let's move on. The next figure that we're going to look at is Rick Jones, and Rick Jones is a figure that a lot of folks were like love to hate, but then, you know, some came to love him and then hate him again. Rick Jones is beautiful because first off, he has so many AE options, but you're not going to use most of them yet. First off, he can turn into A-Bomb. A-Bomb sucks as an AE, not worth your points that you're putting into it. Just ignore that. Okay, he can turn into Captain Marvel and Guinness Veil. We haven't seen those figures yet, but I'm betting that they're better than A-Bomb. Just betting, because A-Bomb is horrible. Next, we see that, what's up with this? He has 3 clicks to turn into an AE, and oh yeah, he has he can push automatically and get perplex, and then he can turn into his AE counterpart on his 2nd click. That is beautiful. Add in the fact that he's Avengers so that you can move him around and just simply say, hey, I need to move my perplexer, free move him, bam, perplex, move there. Then he can say, Spider-Man, I copy Batman TA, I copy Ultimates, I copy whatever, I copy Superman enemy. He is so flexible. So flexible. You know, is he as good as Cypher? No, he's not. He's not as good as Cypher. But if Guinness Veil and Captain Marvel turn out to be valid AE picks, you got to pick them. You got to use Rick Jones. Now note, he's going to get smacked and killed if you don't keep him in the back, and not only that, if you don't watch how you're using him, you're not going to get his AE just because his dial is so short. But oh man, it's a great figure for your points, and he's going to do a lot for your team. Next up is Red Hulk. Why Red Hulk? At a full dial at 178 points, I would hate to say this, the other Red Hulk is a better Hulk, in my opinion, better Red Hulk than this Red Hulk. But this Red Hulk for AE is beautiful. You get so much. First off, he gets no clearly I'm the strongest one there is trait, and he can use super strength, which is nice. Next thing is that trouble coming your way, Red Hulk can use, well, he doesn't get that with AE, I apologize. He gets hotter and hotter, and Red Hulk can use poison. When he does, he deals 2 damage to adjacent opposing characters and 1 damage to non-adjacent opposing characters within 2 squares and line of fire. He has, what is it, Toxic Burst without having Toxic Burst. Not only does he actually starts solving some of the problems with poison, he's able to survive being in the midst of tough situations. Now, note, this is my qualifier. Do you send Red Hulk to go against a 150 point figure that can do 6 clicks of damage somehow and try to poison him next turn? No. What you do is you use Red Hulk mainly as this AE to go and harasses their support. Leap climb, you're not doing damage when you leap climb in. His trait doesn't allow that. So you just leap climb to where you need to be and know next turn that your opponent is going to be pressured to move. Just move out that figure. That's all you're trying to do. You're just trying to put pressure on your opponent by knowing that you have poison and that you're going to freely use it and that you're going to harass and force them to put attacks on Red Hulk. And knowing that 3 damage won't kill him. So, let's move on to the wonderful, I think it's General Thunderbolt Ross. Why do I pick him? Because he turns into Red Hulk, and Red Hulk is actually viable. If we look at his general scheme, we have a couple of things that we can sort of really think about. First off is Hulkbuster. And Hulkbuster, I don't want to say, ooh, this is a great keyword. It's okay. It really is okay. But what it does do is it gives you a ton of flunkies, with lack of a better word. It gives you a ton of flunkies for you to use to compile on this team. You know, you don't have to worry too much about everyone that's there. The next thing that it allows you to do, it just allows you to have a bunch of figures most of the time that he can just move around and use leadership on, so that they could just keep attacking. Okay? But his first special power, which is wonderful on attack, it says the Hulkbuster, is friendly adjacent characters 75 points or less modify their attack value by +1 when attacking a character that can use super strength, which is a lot nowadays. This includes your Supermans. If any friendly character attacks a character named Hulk, that friendly character modifies its damage value by +1. Okay, so you get a +1 attack, +1 damage. So you can get your damage values in pretty good straight, so you could possibly damage Hulk, which is sort of nice. So when we look at overall, he does a lot, and he does AE into Hulk, and he's 5 clicks deep, so people are most likely going to attack him and then knock him into being Red Hulk. So that's why I still think he's viable. Now we're going to sort of punch that, into that upper end area, and I'll just briefly mention Wolverine and Joe Fixit, just for the pure fact that they're great figures. Definitely Wolverine, considering that he can get that +1 attack real easily by having other figures on the team that have different team symbols. Well, they must possess those team symbols, but having those multiple team symbols on the field is great. You can team him up with T'Challa, aka Black Panther. You can team him up with Storm. You can team him up with a bunch of great figures. He's viable. He's viable, and not starting with Blade. Some people might look at that as a bad thing, but having exploit weakness and knowing that can be perplexed up and that he most likely is going to have a 12 attack is great. And the lunge, being able to lunge, so you don't have to fully worry about getting him automatically in that TK range. Joe Fixit, in my opinion, is the best Hulk of the set. If you're going to play a Hulk from start to finish, I would play Joe Fixit. Charge, 11 attack, 4 damage, 115 points. You know, the only thing that would make him better if he was like 135 points and had Indomitable. But even then, most people wouldn't even think about him. At 115 points, he does a lot of great stuff. But unfortunately, there's a lot of figures that are cheaper than him that have that starting click. Lara. The stunning throw. When Joe Fixit throws an object in a ranged combat attack after action resolves, give a hit character an action token. So pretty much you're just giving him a lamppost. And I think if you throw a lamppost, you probably would, I think, give a figure 2 tokens. But don't quote me on that quite yet. When it comes to the super rares for this set, which would also explain why this set is so cheap to get on eBay, there really aren't a lot of good ones. Really, there not a lot of good ones. You could say, oh look, I can get A-Bomb. No. Ghost Rider's okay. Spider-Man, not really. Sierra, how much hustling do I have to do to get her abilities to go off? A-Bomb, oh gosh. Kazar, okay. Then we get Black Bolt. Black Bolt, for some reason, just stands out to me. And here's why. I'm hoping, in the depths of my being, there is something in the Infinity Gauntlet challenge that allows me to get hypersonic speed or running shot through a gem. That's what I'm hoping. If that is true, Black Bolt becomes one of the most powerful figures in the game. If not, he's threatening. But if he has the ability somehow, some way of getting running shot or hypersonic speed, he's ridiculously powerful. And I think that's why he doesn't have running shot. It's because they realized giving him running shot would be too much. First off, we have Silent Scream. And this is pretty much why he's ridiculous. Black Bolt can use Pulse Wave. He can use it normally, or you can give him a double power action to use it as a free action, and then damage dealt becomes his printed damage value instead of 1. What's his printed damage value? 4. What does this also mean? Your opponent cannot perplex down this Pulse Wave. Think about that. Really think about that. Your opponent cannot perplex down your Pulse Wave damage. How many times have you had this happen? Your opponent knows that you're in range to do your turn of a running shot Pulse Wave. And it was going to be a single target Pulse Wave. And they know they can't maneuver another figure to get in the way to stop that. So what do? They move up their perplexer and they perplex down your damage, so that your 3 becomes a 2, and you're sort of frustrated. Okay, and in some people's case, your 4 becomes 3. All right. With Black Bolt, your opponent can't do that. Also, with Black Bolt, he's a sharpshooter and can shoot around figures. Okay, now no, he can't see through stealth, but still, being a sharpshooter, being a flyer, having this Pulse Wave, it's a lot. It's a lot of beautiful packed in. She Speaks for me is sort of nice if you have more Inhumans and you have Medusa, but I would tell you, just put that to the side. Don't even think about that. The leadership is nice, and with 193 points in a 300-point game, you're guaranteed to get that off on everybody around you. Okay, the next figure we're going to look at is number 43 Hulk. Number 43 Hulk is good. Why? And for the AE. Okay, the AE has several advantages, and I'm going to sort of unwrap them. The 193 points that you're paying for everything up to that point, ignore that. Because that is total crap. Total crap. It's worthless. Total crap. Okay? Some might say, oh, but look, you have these wonderful Peace of the Outback. And no, screw that. Focus in on the AE click. Look at it. 7 movement, 10 attack, 0 defense, 4 damage. His ability says he can use toughness. Hulk ignores all damage dealt to him unless it's dealt by an attack, and an attack roll is doubles, but not a critical miss. Friendly characters cannot use probability control during an attack that targets Hulk. This power can't be countered or ignored. I went on the rules forum specifically for this figure. He ignores, you can mastermind damage to him and he won't take damage. He won't take damage from armor piercing and poison. He will not take damage from splash damage, from energy explosion, even with some of the weirdness, unless it's doubles. Okay? He will take mystics if you're able to outwit his Indomitable and cap him. He will take damage from that and he will push. Okay? Because that's not an attack, but just he can't double token like that. Because he doesn't have anything that stops him from taking pushing damage. Pushing damage is unavoidable. He will take mystics, arachnos, damage. Okay? So he's not going after any of those figures. The best part is if you're able to get somebody with defend or using some sort of defendability to raise his defense up, you limit the chances for your opponent to land a hit on Hulk. So if you're able to get a defend and a defender, to get Hulk's defense value to 17, okay, that means that on average that the person attacking you, if they have a 10 attack, will have to roll double 4s, double 5s, double 6. Okay? If you are able to get Hulk's defense to 20, somehow, some way, I'm not asking how, pretty much you limit it to someone has to roll a critical hit on Hulk. Now, no, they're going to try to bypass stuff, and they're, eventually it's just like anything's like that. They're just going to ignore him. Also, the other beautiful thing is he ignores Pulse Wave. He ignores Pulse Wave and Psy Blast. So, this Hulk here, I can see why he's going for $20 and $30 on eBay. Not for the other 193 points of crap, but for that one click at the end. This is a super rare. This is one of the key super rares for the set. This one and Black Bolt. Everything else, I hate to say it, is really not that good. It's really not that good. It's sort of disappointing. When we're really looking at playability and effectiveness in the meta. Cosmic Hulk, it's just like they said, oh, Cosmic Spider-Man's too much. Let's tone it down and let's make him hulkishly, but let's not make him hulkishly in the beginning. Which is stupid. Oh, man. Anyway, moving on. The chases are awesome. You probably didn't expect that coming out of my mouth. The chases are awesome. 3 in particular. First off is Hulklops. Hulklops, why is he awesome? Mainly for the pure fact that he has Beam Smash. First off, when Hulklops make a close combat attack, if his attack value is at least 4 greater than the target's defense value, after action resolves, he can use Psychic Blast, targeting the hit character as a free action. You're somewhat expecting that you're going to get knockback, but Hulklops is a sharpshooter, so it doesn't matter. He can automatically use Psychic Blast even if they're still next to him. Next thing is Eyes on the Back of My Head. Hulklops can use Pulse Wave. When he does, it ignores elevation when drawing lines of fire. Think about this. The guy that camps on the roof, just running shot over Hulklops, and he Pulse Waves, most likely single target. And he's going to just nail that person. And they can't retaliate, and he just keeps Pulse Waving. So, anyway, I think that's the most interesting thing that you can do with him. And yeah, and he turns into other good Cyclopses. I haven't seen the Fast Forces one like everyone else, but heck, if you got an X-Men team and you have the other Cyclops from Giant Size X-Men, I mean, it's still good. So I don't really see a loss. It's just like the inverse of AE. You start awesome and you turn into sort of crap, but this crap is sprinkled with gold dust. So and maybe even spray painted a little even. The value is a lot higher. Okay, the next one is Ice Hulk. Ice Hulk. Ice Hulk is my personal favorite because he has running shot, 11 attack, and range combat expert with 3 damage. I mean, he can do 5 damage for 130 points. And impervious. That is beautiful. I mean, forget everything else about, he can give action tokens and all other stuff, and Ice Smash, and him having poison, and all other good stuff that he has. Forget that for right now. Look at that first click. Look at his second click. And look at his third click. They're all just solid. Then he goes into this shape change plasticity, beautiful loveliness, before he goes down. All in all, Ice Hulk is great. It's another, just a ton of points spent on eBay. A ton of money spent on eBay. And he's worth the points. The best of the hulked out heroes is Hulk Mariner. These guys should have been the super rares. I so wish they were the super rares. Anyway, Hulk Mariner, charge, 11 attack, 4 damage, 18 defense, imperv. Fine. Why is he awesome? C Smash. When Hulk Mariner makes a close combat attack, if his attack total is at least 4 greater than his target defense value, the hit character gains Earthbound neutralize this game as long as Hulk Mariner is on the map. What does that mean, people? Get rid of Indomitable. You get rid of Sharpshooter. You get rid of Dolphin. You get rid of Giant. You get rid of Colossal. All those things that are just basic stat things that are on the dial, you just, boom, just wreck them. You just wreck them. Because guess what? A lot of figures, if they're Colossal, everything around them is built around them being Colossal. If they're a Giant, everything's built around them being a Giant. If they're Indomitable, for sure, they are paying a high cost for Indomitable. For 115 points, just really look at your damage potential. Charge, 11 attack, super strength, 4 damage. Think about that. Really think about that. Okay? There's nothing stopping you perplexing up his attack. There's nothing stopping you perplexing up his damage. There's nothing stopping you from getting an object. And that's just his trait. That's just his trait. Okay, we look at Flotsam and Jetsam, which I think is a sort of a silly little name. Hulk Mariner can use Super Strength. Give Hulk Mariner a free action if he occupies water terrain and isn't holding an object. Give Hulk Mariner a standard light object from outside the game. He's always going to have an object if he's in water terrain. There's nothing stopping you from packing a bucket of water. He really does benefit, and I really hate to say it like this, from the Superman Flashpoint Aquaman when he dies, or when he does water spout as a double power action. Anyway, So just consider that. And then here's the other thing that's really nice is that we know that we're going to get 2 Namors and Galactic Guardians just from this. And when he goes down, he'll turn to one of those Namors. That's fine. We won't be able to do that right now. But in the future, we're looking at some really good stuff. Okay? That's it for my picks for the set in and of itself. And we're just going to start looking at the prize support and the super rares and just see how much more viable those are than they were in the past. Really. A lot more than the past. First off is my pick is Major Glenn Talbot. And remember when I was saying, there's a figure that outshines those AIM guys? Behold, it is he. Shield TA plus enhancement. Now, you might say, well, man, that AIM Renegade had barrier, and that other AIM one had perplex. I don't know. Why is he better than them? Well, first off, let's put it like this. In your unrestricted games, he has Mastermind, and he will have fodder, which means it'll be a lot harder to kill him. Way harder to kill him if you have tons of little Leanne Harper girls to take the damage for him, to take the grenade for him. Okay? Not only that, when it comes to other Mastermind figures that are in the set and other sets, and I'm mainly thinking Darkseid, people are going to do everything possible to get rid of your stat modifying battery, and they will target those figures first. Major Glenn Talbot, by having Mastermind, makes it so that he's really hard to kill. Not only that, he has enhancement his whole dial, so you're not getting rid of it. You're forced back to say, what am I going to do with this guy to get rid of his enhancement? Okay, you're going to pretty much have to kill him or outwit him. Okay, now moving on. Let's really look at this. If you're going to have him on the team, he's just primarily sitting there. He has shield team ability, and with shield team ability, he can now add on with an action. He can add on more damage. Plus, he can add on +1 to range for a free action. Okay? So, for 33 points, we have a figure that makes a 6 range of 7, a 9 range of 10, and he makes a 4 damage of 6 for 33 points. I put it to you clearly, if there is a figure in this set worth sort of fighting for and showing up to your venues for, this is it. This is your figure. This is the figure that you are going to probably see people go super cheese over because of what he's able to do for his points and so little that you have to invest. And it's a good thing that he's a LE, because if he wasn't, oh gosh, there would be problems. Okay. The next figure that we are looking at is Black Bolt. Black Bolt came out ahead this set. I think they really gave him justice, in my opinion. Black Bolt, why this Black Bolt? First off, he has scrolls. And then you might say, well, Bullseye gets past scrolls. Yes, Bullseye gets past scrolls. Bullseye could, hit Black Bolt blindfolded with a 17 defense. But without Psychic Blast, Bullseye isn't going to do jack to Black Bolt damage-wise. Okay, unless he has an Outwitter. Okay, and even then, he has to invest a lot. Next, Running Shot Pulse Wave. 3 clicks of it. 3 clicks of it. And good damage values with it. Upfront leadership, that's fine. Pretty much, this Black Bolt is like the econ version of the super rare Black Bolt with a good sound system. That's the best way of putting it. You have your running shot, you have your okay attack values. Yes, he goes downhill. Mid dial is where I feel Black Bolt says I'm not a one-trick pony. He says I have scrolls. He says I have shape change. I have energy explosion. So I'll just dual target some energy explosion and get that going off. I'll call in my friend Bruce Banner, and he'll help me out. And I'm going to crank out the damage. I might even clone him so that I have two, so I can really crank out the damage. I really want people to realize that that Black Bolt is really good. And it's another one that people might just say, hey, it's worth cheesing to get. Okay? The next figure that we are going to look at over the phone ringing, and hopefully it's Destiny calling, telling you that these figures need to be considered, are from the Gravity Feed. But unfortunately, Destiny already told me, so I don't need to pick up, and I can leave it there. Guess she's a little determined, or she just decided it's not worth keep calling me since I acknowledged her. All right. With the Hulk set in the Gravity Feed, you might say, wow, you're on this sort of AE trip. And yeah, I am. But this is the first Hulk I really have to say I can see 145 points. With the special powers in the exact opposite places where I would have wanted them, I still think he's viable. And who is that? It is Gravity Feed Hulk 201. Charge, super strength, 17 defense, and perv. He starts with Guns Make Hulk Mad. Modify Hulk's attack and damage values by +1 for each time he was targeted by a ranged attack since your last turn. At the beginning of your dial, I know everyone's just like, ugh. That's just, ugh. That's something that you want later on. You know, click 2, click 3, yeah, I can sort of see it, but still having it on click 1, not worth the points. Very poor dial design. Okay. Next is Leave Hulk Alone. All damage dealt by Hulk causes knockback. Flurry. With Flurry. I know. Ugh. This sucks. Ugh. More size. Okay. And it's not optional. Where I see this as an advantage, definitely click 2 is, not click 2, click 4 and click 5, is you are flurrying with Hulk, doing knockback, getting rid of whatever stops them from taking knockback, and getting rid of their damage reduction, make sure they don't have damage reduction, and knocking them into a wall. And you place yourself in a position where here's Hulk, here's the opponent, here's the wall. Okay? And you just like, Hulk smash, bam, he hits the wall. Hulk smash again, he hits the wall. The damage output goes up a lot higher then. Okay? So that 3 damage that Hulk is doing is 4, and on that click 5, that 4 damage Hulk is doing turns into 5. Okay? And so remember, every time the attack resolves, he's taking knockback. So 3 turns into 4 times 2 is 8. Okay? You can do the same math with, having 4 damage. So it's viable. Having that power on your regen click, come on, Whiz Kids. Come on, Whiz Kids. Did you think that one through? Hulk can regen even if he's adjacent to somebody. Doesn't help you at all. At all. Anyway, going on. Why is he really good? I like him. I think he's viable. I think you could play stuff with him. 145 points, a little bit high, but doable. I love his AE. You're like, surprise, surprise. He loves the AE. For him to get Guns Make Hulk Mad, again, it's at a point where I wouldn't like it. And when he gets Leave Hulk Alone, again, it's at a point that I don't really like it. But this Hulk has something special. And that something special is he's guaranteed. He's guaranteed. guaranteed. You're saying, Edward, how is he guaranteed? Let's look at Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner. A lot of people didn't read his dial closely. And here's what it says. Alter Ego Hulk. Give Bruce Banner a power action that deals no pushing damage and replace this character with Incredible Hulk number 201. Hulk on its orange starting line. Existing action tokens on this character and actions tokens from this action are applied to the replacement, and the power can be countered. Let's go down. What does he have on his last click here? You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. When Bruce Banner takes 2 or more damage from an opposing attack, so poison doesn't work, and I know Pulse Wave will blast past this, so okay. If after actions are resolved, this power is revealed, you may replace this character with number 201 Hulk on its orange starting line. Existing action tokens on this character are applied to the replacement. This Hulk solves the problem that AEs have had since their beginning. Everyone says, I was just going to shoot him and I'm going to do damage, he's not going to transform. Or I'm going to do this and this and they're not going to transform. I'm going to, nuke them from the moon and they're not going to transform. Guaranteed transformation, 50 points. You start off with Perplex with Bruce Banner. It's guaranteed. So, what does this mean? This means we can get bold with it. Bruce Banner is a tie-up piece. What are you going to do? Make him angry? What are you going to do? Turn him into the Hulk? Let's ignore Banner Tech inhibitors because you're not really going to use it. It's nice to sort of just pin some folks down. But you're looking to be in dangerous situations. But you don't care because you're Banner. And you're pushing. For someone to say, I'm going to continually plink this figure with one click, with one damage, is worthless. It's worthless. The only thing that would have made his dial better if it was 3 clicks. And he was, 45 points or 35 points. That's the only thing that would have made him better. And even then, he'd probably be too cheap for the game. So, you're not getting as many clicks as you might want out of him, but guaranteed transformation into, again, what we say, we can take a figure, AE takes us from the end game back to the mid game. And is that Hulk beautiful? No, it's an ugly monster. It's an abomination. But it's guaranteed. And that's what matters. Okay, going to my next pick. And that's General Thunderbolt Ross. I know people could talk ad nauseum about Thunderbolt Ross, this one, because he's the nuclear option Ross. And he goes from nuclear option into Red Hulk, which is also my pick. But what does he do outside of his nuclear option? He gives us leadership to add to our pool for leadership, pool of actions. Not only that, he gives us enhancement. So when you push him so he's viable, and then nuke as your last option. Don't just nuke to nuke. Be mindful when to nuke. Not only that, the nuke ignores shape change and ignores stealth. Does not ignore super senses, but it does ignore shape change. It does ignore stealth. Also, caveat for all you people out there that are Golden Age players, more so than Modern Age. And then even with some of you Modern Age people, if you mind control General Thunderbolt Ross, he can keep using airstrike. Okay? He can keep using it. So if you compel him, he can do it again. If you mind control him and your opponent, you can have him do it, and you can keep doing it over and over and over and over again. This makes him a big concern for people that that aren't really in advanced level. In advanced level play, because mind control doesn't come up that much, people aren't going. They'll be like, whatever. That's not going to happen. But for people in, average day play, and they have that one guy at the venue that found something that he loves and just keeps doing it, this is going to be annoying as heck once they find out that they can use compel, or that they can go just mind control yours. So position him wisely. He's not this super silver bullet messiah for hero clicks to deal with the evils of Professor X and Nightcrawler, or even to kill a nurse. This guy is a loaded gun, and you need to handle it carefully, preferably get a license before playing. Okay, the next figure we're going to look at is the leader. This leader is wonderful, and we're going to see why. 7 range, fine. 8 movement, 10 attack, 17 defense, 3 damage. That's respectable stats at 110 points to start off with. But what's nice is that the leader can use mind control. Your will is weak, and he doesn't take feedback damage. Compel, babies, compel. And we just finished talking about that. But have you ever just said, man, I really want to, mind control that figure, but the feedback is going to kill me? There you go. You don't have to pay for mental shields. Not only that, people don't play this this object, but it's wonderful. Violet Lantern. Violet Lantern is wonderful. Now think about this. Violet Lantern and compel. Just let that mingle in your mind. On a modern age scale, Violet Lantern, the leader, just makes it so that your situations in dealing with, I hate to say it, with just about any bruiser on your opponent's team, oh gosh, it's just beautiful, because all you do is just make sure that the Violet Lantern is in range, TK up the leader, mind control whatever your big threat is, and then watch as that big threat now has +2 damage. So I just wanted you to really consider that. Moving on. The next pick that I have is Red Hulk, and this is the last pick I would set. Why Red Hulk? Again. And it's not just because, he's an AE. It's because I think that for what he does, he's not bad. And we sort of look at how he plays out from start to finish. I think there's some options there for us. Let's first look at the AE. The AE part of him is poison and flurry, and not above using guns. Red Hulk may make ranged combat attacks as if he had a range value of 4. It's not bad. It allows him to stay in the game. Let's also look at what we said previously with Red Hulk, the other Red Hulk. So pretty much with poison. What are we using them for? We are mainly using them to harass. And at the end of the game, a lot of people do not have damage reduction. A lot of people are unable to do anything real serious to you. With in-game invulnerability, gosh, that's wonderful. The other thing that you want to consider if you're going to play him from start to finish at 155 points. Okay, first off is intense heat. Red Hulk can use poison after opposing character's action resolves if an opposing character who was not adjacent to Red Hulk became adjacent to Red Hulk during that action. Deal that character 1 penetrating damage. What it says is, you charge me, okay, and it says became, does not say is. And so this is something that has to be verified. You hypersonic speed melee me because you become adjacent, or it became adjacent for a bit during that action. Okay, so during that action, they did become adjacent. It also means that if you opposing figure ran by Hulk, hypersonic speed, flyer, ignores characters, they would deal 1 penetrating damage. Now again, this may have to come to the rules form again, but the issue that I'm seeing is that became, and it doesn't necessarily indicate through the wording that you had to stay. Okay, so those are things that are nice. Also, if someone TKs in a figure to smash you, so as long as you have that power up, it's nice. And so that's the one advantage that I can see of having this Hulk at full power, is that if you place him well, your opponent has to spend more energy getting to where they want to get. Okay, and so in Dial, AE Hulk, beautiful, wonderful. You're transforming from that awesome Thunderbolt Ross into awesome Red Hulk. So that's mainly it. Unfortunately, like I said, most of the shows now are going to be video cast, and I am trying to find another host to support MP3 format. And so if you could find or know of a free MP3 host for me, just PM me at darklogos@AC Realms, and I would really, really appreciate it. Okay, so thank you for watching the Starting Over podcast. And because wins don't last forever, we always have to move on. So just pick up your dice and keep rolling. And Merry Christmas to you. And I'll have more podcasts for you next year.